Hi, I'm Terry Bach with Untapped Potential Coaching, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the basics of emotional freedom technique or tapping, and then I will demonstrate how to use it in a bit. In the years that I've been using tapping, I have been blown away at how powerful and effective this tool is. It can help people overcome so many different issues. Weight loss, food cravings, pain relief, anxiety and fear, phobias. I use it to help people with limiting beliefs around money. So many different issues can be overcome using tapping. Because tapping utilizes the body's energy meridian points by stimulating them with our fingertips. So you're literally tapping into your body's own healing and energy power. When you're experiencing something like anger or fear or anxiety, your brain goes on alert and it prepares your body then to go into a fight or flight response. With our ancestors, this response evolved to get the body ready to face an external threat, like a tiger coming after somebody. You had to run. So the body's defenses needed to give it more energy so they could take off. And so your adrenaline pumps and your muscles tense up and your heart rate increases so that you're in a position to have more energy to be able to just take off. Stressors in those ancient days were very real threats to our survival. Now, these days, our fight or flight response is usually not external or not physical threats. Most of our responses now are triggers internally, like negative memory or a thought that comes from a past trauma or a childhood learning experience. So the stress response in the body takes the same form, whether it's an external threat or an internal threat. Our adrenaline flows, our blood sugar rises, our heart rate increases, and all of that kind of thing. So what the tapping does is it stops that fight or flight response, and it reprograms the brain and the body to act and react in a different way. The stress response starts in our brain, in the amygdala, which is in the limbic system of the brain. The limbic system is the source of our emotions, and it's also where our long-term memory sits, and also where our negative experiences are encoded. So the amygdala has been called the body's smoke detector because it sees something and then it says, this is a threat to our safety. And so it signals the brain to put the body into the fight or flight response. So tapping on these meridian points helps deactivate the amygdala's alarm. It sends this calming response to the body, and the amygdala then recognizes that we're safe. So in a couple of minutes, I'm going to show you the basic technique of tapping. While you're tapping, what you're doing is you're focusing on the negative emotion that you're experiencing. Fear or anxiety or anger sometimes, a bad memory or a limiting belief. So anything that you're wanting to resolve or challenge that you want to get over. And the way that we stay focused while we're tapping, because we want to do that, is to say a short statement on each of the points as we're tapping on it. We're going to use our fingertips, as I said, and we usually use 2 or 3 fingertips, and we're going to tap on each point about 5 to 7 times. There's no real magic about that number. It just usually takes about 5 to 7 taps on it to complete our statement. So I'm going to show you the 9 meridian points that are most frequently used by people. There are a lot of meridian points on our body, and you will see other people using other meridian points. These are the meridian points that are most frequently used. So as we're tapping on these points and focusing on the negative, what that does is it accesses your body's energy and restores it to a balanced state, which is what we want. We want to bring down those emotions. So tapping has been compared to acupuncture. It's very similar to acupuncture, except we don't use needles, which is a good thing. Tapping is simple and it's painless unless you tap too hard, and it can be learned by anybody and used anytime. So let's get started. The first point that is used is called the karate chop point, or the side of the hand, because it's on the side of the hand. And when we do the karate chop point, we're doing what's called the setup statement. And so if you're right-handed, you're going to probably want to use your right hand. If you're left-handed, you can use your left hand. And it doesn't, the meridian flows go through your entire body. So it doesn't matter which side of your body you're tapping on. Okay, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to be tapping on using my right hand. So on the setup statement with the karate chop point, we say a statement that it goes something like, even though I have this problem, whatever this problem is, could be anxiety or anger or whatever, I still love and accept myself. And we say this statement 3 times. What the statement does, and why it's the setup statement, is it really helps us if we have some resistance to letting go. Sometimes we consciously want to get rid of something, but somehow subconsciously there's a reason we hang on to it. The setup statement is there to help with that resistance of letting it go. So okay, so moving on from the karate chop point, let's say, the next point that I use is called the eyebrow. So, and that is where your eyebrow begins on the hair there. You're going to take 2 or 3 fingers and just tap on that point. Okay. The next point is the side of the eye, and you'll feel a bone there. And you're going to tap right around that bone. And if you follow that bone, your next point is under the eye. And you can see that I switch fingers a lot, and that's fine. You can, certainly keep the same fingers, but I tend to move around a bit. The next point is under the nose. And then the next point is called the chin point, but it's actually between your mouth and your chin. So it's in that little crevice there, and you just tap in there. Okay. And then the next point is called the collarbone point, and you can see your collarbone, and it's usually down about an inch and then over a little bit. So sometimes you'll see people doing both collarbones, and that's fine. You can just do one. I typically will take my whole hand and just tap right there. It gets all of the points in there very simply. The next point is called under the arm point, because it's about a width underneath the armpit there. And it's also where the bra is for women. And you just tap right there. The next one is called the top of the head. And this is the last point that I tap on. And I just kind of do a little circular flutter there. Okay. So those are the nine meridian points and the tapping spots. So what I'd like to do now is just do a real quick round of tapping, just do one round, which that was, on anxiety. Now, the trick with tapping is the more specific you can be, the better, and the better it will work. So tapping on anxiety is a bit general. So I'm going to tap on, I'm doing a speaking gig tomorrow, and I have a lot of anxiety. Okay, so we're going to start with the karate chop point. Even though I have all this anxiety about tomorrow, I still love and accept myself. Even though I still have a lot of anxiety about my speaking gig tomorrow, I still deeply love and accept myself. Even though I have all this anxiety about speaking tomorrow, I still love and accept myself. All this anxiety about tomorrow, I'm not sure I can do it. All this anxiety about speaking tomorrow. What if I mess it up? What if I fall off the stage? All this anxiety in my whole system about tomorrow. I'm so nervous about it. All this anxiety about speaking tomorrow. And then you take a nice cleansing breath when you're done. And that was just one round. And typically you're going to do more than one round. And then you want to look at, I didn't bring up this, the scale that we usually rate before we start. Like if you were really anxious, before you start tapping, you want to say, how anxious am I right now? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very anxious. And then after you've done your tapping, you again want to rate the tapping or the feeling of anxiety in this case to how anxious am I now feeling? And let's say you started at a 10 and you went down to a 7. That's a pretty big shift. It's a big shift in energy in your system. And so you know that this is working. So you just want to keep tapping on it until you bring it down to a 1 or a 0. Okay? So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned to my upcoming videos where I'm going to be tapping on very specific topics. Thanks again for watching.